At the Booby Pan in the Mkuze Game Reserve, a reserve proclaimed in 1912, a hide has been built for the comfort of those who wish to study wildlife and enjoy the luxury of relaxation. For what better privilege can be entertained than enjoying the right to understand a fast disappearing race within the field of God's creation? The Impala is but one of the animals that man is gradually but surely extinguishing. For this area at Mkuze is to be de-proclaimed, and de-proclaimed to the detriment of a universal understanding that wildlife must be preserved. The first of the Impala is but of little understanding, equally so the guinea fowl, when considered amongst the unheeding greed for land in a country as yet grossly underdeveloped. And yet, a country which apparently cannot afford to retain an area of 62,000 acres. A small sacrifice for so large a prize, the prize of a South African way of life, where the Impala, uneasy of his surroundings, hesitates and interrupts his thirst, and being satisfied of no immediate danger, reapproaches the water, head down, legs astride, ears alert for sound, and draws water to its endless satisfaction. The African Impala, with his beautiful reddish-brown coat that becomes paler on the lower half of his sides, his slender legs with that whitish ring above each hoof, and with his tail neatly carried between his hind legs, is a herd lover. The Impala seldom move 4 or 5 miles from water, and whilst they often feed in the open, prefer the safety of fairly dense bush. At most times, the old bulls afford a sense of protection to the herd, being often seen as though assuming the role of guards. The Warthog, who hurries to the water's edge, is another who seldom travels far from water. But unlike the Impala, the Warthog does not obtain moisture from the leaves of trees or wild fruit. The Warthog derives his name from the warty protuberances on the face, and is undoubtedly the ugliest animal of the veldt. Like the domestic pig, the Warthog is fond of wallowing in muddy water, particularly when the weather is hot. The sow runs alone with her litter, as the boar usually deserts the family when the young are about half grown. The very young stand aside when father exerts his energies in the wallow, whilst others, more grown up, appear a trifle more dignified. The Booby Pan, in the heart of this, the Mkuze Reserve, shows us many of nature's creatures that must be allowed to remain. The Impala, who make their way in an endless procession, give confidence to the many other creatures, for when at ease, danger must surely be recognized by its hospitable absence. An Nyala bull is one such animal to enjoy the refreshing water of the Booby Pan. This strikingly beautiful antelope, with a greyish-brown coat, fine head, black mane, and chestnut in colour below the knees, first discovered as little as a century ago on the northern shores of St. Lucia Lake, is another that will be denied the right to live in his natural habitat when the reserve is de-proclaimed. The Nyala bull is more colourfully decorated by nature's workshop than the cow, who is not only smaller in size, but much paler in colour, without majestic horns, and sensitive to nature's moods, as they scamper up the bank and cause an uneasiness amongst the game. It was the arrival of the Wildebeest that caused the momentary stir. The Wildebeest, or brindled gnu, approached the water with the utmost care, avoiding the Impala's invitation to choose their own quiet corner, for the business of drinking can be a ticklish business, not knowing exactly who is about or having been introduced. The bushbuck is similarly cautious, and very gradually, with all senses strained, moves within the precincts of the Booby Pan. The bushbuck is a secretive and wary animal, not gregarious, but found solitary or in pairs, and is mostly nocturnal, living in any particular spot and seldom wandering any distance. It enjoys dense bush and subsists on green grass, leaves, and various kinds of shrubs and trees. Curious by nature, our bushbuck moves forward inch by inch to investigate a movement, only to find himself face to face with a warthog. Starry-eyed they watch each other, and as if with a satisfactory password, he continues on his way. Having passed the stage of their initial approach, the wildebeest continues to approach the water, but with little caution, for once the water's edge has been reached, the wildebeest enjoy themselves with gay abandon. Warthog approaches on the right-hand side, and, typical of his courage, scampers through the column, to the consternation of the wildebeest, for one so small is not expected to disturb his elders. It is scenes such as this that can be lost forever, lost to the pen that signs a declaration diminishing even further Natal's meager 2.2% of game protection areas. It is surely Natal's need to increase areas for game preservation and follow the example of countries who have already learnt of this need. Japan, with a population of millions, has placed 4.4% to areas for preservation, and yet Natal is to be deprived of this, the Mkuze Game Reserve, where the baboon, amongst others, should have the right to survive, and we benefit through our heritage, a heritage of wildlife. The drinking habit of Grandpa Baboon, as he gulps at the water, is no example to the youngsters playful at his side. Momentarily, the instinct of caution is aroused, as he looks about for a moment or two, and then, satisfied, gulps at the water to further slake his thirst. The Chakma baboons are amazing rock climbers, and it is to this skill that they owe their survival in face of continual persecution, for outside our reserves they have no friends and no sanctuary where baby can, by remote control, enjoy the dignity of the driver's seat. The wildebeest, a name given by the early Dutch settlers and meaning wild ox, has a considerable pace when alarmed. The young wildebeest moves forward, another from the water, others move, and then the herd alerted stampedes away. This is as it should be, a natural stampede within their homeland, the Mkuze Reserve. But in future years, a stampede could be caused by guns or assegais, unless it becomes our real will to retain in perpetuity this area of only 62,000 acres. His ingenuity has never been able to recreate the actions of his own destruction.